everybody. Thank you for tuning in to episode 1 of Cherry Blossom Heroines, or as we call ourselves, Heroines of the Cherry Blossom, whichever works for you guys. This is our absolute first episode, and we are so excited to be here. So, for myself, I am Pizza Maid. It's a pleasure to meet you all, and with me, I have my lovely co host, Sushi Geisha.
Hi guys, how are you?
So, this podcast in and of itself is a basic brainchild of just, two people who are huge Otome fans, and we had so much fun discussing. It really kind of forged bonds and friendship for me and Sushi when we started out almost a year or two ago. So, after so long, she kept saying, I really want to do an Otome podcast. I really want to do an Otome podcast. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. So we did. And you guys are now witnessing at least the beginnings of our next chapter. So I'm glad that you guys are here and enjoying it. Again, if you like what you see here, by all means, be sure to hit follow, which is, I think, down here. Is it over here? I can't remember which one. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. And I already knocked out my charger, which is awesome. So I'm going to try to sneakily take care of that. So why don't you start things off?
Okay. Did you want to do the interviews or do you just want to read them off?
I actually just finished a
Okay,
ninja mission. There we go.
well,
Definitely, we should kind of explain a little bit about ourselves. I don't know if anybody here in the chat is actually very foreign to the concept of Vietnamese. Maybe that's something that we should also explain as well, and just see kind of where the conversation develops from there. So,
okay.
yeah.
Probably I would relate Otome games to being a mix of visual novels and love sims.
Mm-hmm.
They can involve a male or female main character, and it's usually like a harem kind of thing. But these stories are really intense at times. Lots of characters to pick from. There are romance. Some of them have mini games. There's a lot of different levels that you have to increase, like your trust, appreciation, affection, kind of things like that. Um, so, um, yeah, there you go. Uh,
And now know that this now Otomes is very much centered from a female demographic. It does attract a lot of
right.
female audiences because it's the romanceable options of many, many men. Guys, fear not. There is a male version of this. This is what's commonly referred to as bishojos, where it's one guy has the option to romance up to 4 to 5 women, whichever the game would allow you to. And it's very similar, just, BXGs, which is boys kind of trying to romance girls, and then otames is more commonly known as GXBs. So, for ourselves, though, I know a lot of Sushi's favorite otome games, and I know kind of the type of guy routes that she'll go for. I've been watching her streams this week, and it's actually been hilarious just to hear her commentary while doing it. But it is important, and I think before we even continue and move forward, maybe you guys want to get to know a little bit about us and see what kind of otomes we're into. Would we say that we're leading experts or leading authorities in otames? Absolutely not.
No.
It's a niche community that brings a lot of people together, and I know a lot of folks who have purposely learned Japanese just to be able to play otames. So I can't say that I'm on that caliber. I would like to. I'm certainly working towards it, but I think it's time we do a Q&A session with each other because I'm actually
Right.
curious about some of the questions and some of the responses that you might have had for a couple of these. So, if it's all
Okay.
right, I'll start with you. Um,
Okay.
what's your name?
Sushi geisha. I answer to sushi mainly, apparently, now, more than ever. So, and I love sushi, so I'm totally fine with that.
Remind me to ask you a question after this podcast about sushi. I was very curious about something. But
Okay.
keeping in tangent with everything, I also wanted to ask, what was your first otome game?
That's kind of a weird question for me. The first Otome game that I played would be Hakioki, which I'm sure many people would say that is their first one. It's
Mm.
extremely popular. Um, Various animes, they're even coming out with more and more games. In Japan, it's really just beating a dead horse at this point. But, the guys are hot and it has history, so you're kind of learning, right? It's fun. I picked it up. I had no clue what it was. I just bought a PSP. And I saw a collector's edition with a really hot guy on the cover with cherry blossoms, and I was like, I think I need that game. I don't really know why, but I think I need that. So purchased it, took it home. Luckily, somehow my dumbass was lucky enough to get the normal route, which um
Really?
I'm not trying to give spoilers, but the normal route is not like, woo, we all got along and the war is gone. I At the end of it, I put it down. I was like, what the fuck did I just play?
I think you deserve a
I
round
was
of applause for that, though. I couldn't get the normal ending the first time, and I'm going to be real. So,
It was just it was terrible. So I put it down. I was looking for something to play, and I also like JRPGs. And Sabella, who's in chat, who is my other half, he is a big Buffy fan, and he had read online that Persona 3 was a lot like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and he picked it up because he loves Buffy, and he was playing it in the kitchen at night as we were getting ready, and the music and everything just really got me. So I picked it up. I was playing it, and one day I'm just walking out meeting all the characters, and there was Akihiko. And
uh,
I just talked to him like normal, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to walk home together?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Let's walk home together." And it was like, "Oh, you can't. All the girls glare at you and your charm isn't good enough." And I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I was like, "No way. He's going home with We live in the same dorm. What the hell? You can't stop me from walking home with this hot guy." So I made it my mission for like the next 80 hours to I instantly went out and upped my charm, right? I took him home and I made him mine. And it became bad because I got so addicted. So if you've played, you're right, it is Persona 3 Portable. If you've played Persona 3 Portable, you get to play as a female character, and certain characters have days of the week that they come by. And Akihiko's was Fridays and Mondays.
and she'll never
And
forget it.
it's never. And it's so shitty because you're like, oh, it's Friday. Oh, and you hear those footsteps coming down the hall, and you're like, is it Akihiko? Is it Akihiko? And then it's Akihiko. And you're like, oh my God, we're going to have the greatest time. And then Friday's over with, and you're like, well, I see him again on Monday. So I'll just play through the next 2 days. And so literally, I was up till 6 a.m. one night trying to unlock the Christmas scene with him.
Mhm.
And at that moment on, I fell miserably down. I wouldn't say miserably. I'm pretty fucking happy with it. But I fell down this rabbit hole. I went back to Hakioki. I've bought every version that has been localized, the DS, the PS3, the PSP. I've actually terribly, horribly played the Sweet School Life. That is a whole nother episode of trying to play a Japanese game when you don't speak Japanese
I want to
or
play
read
it
it.
so bad.
Um,
I
so
want SSL.
in a long story, I'm sorry that went really over, but that would be my first Otome game experience. I would have to put them together, in my opinion.
And no, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, that's the reason, it kind of sparked your inspiration to want to further get into Othames. And what a lot of people don't know, and if you don't know, you're going to find out right now. She actually has her own personal blog where she goes through routes and gives guides for you to get good endings. And we're going to plug that somewhere in the chat. So plug that in the chat. Somebody, anybody. So I think that's actually really cool. I feel like it's given you this like renewed vigor for video games because we're just so acclimated to just playing, you know, the FPS or the MMO or the RPG, JRPG. This is exciting for us. And I feel like it really caters to our needs, you know, regardless of the age. Just, you know, it gives you that sense of femininity, which I don't have, especially being in such a male dominated environment. So it's like, it's my
Right.
girl time, it's my pampering time. But I am curious to ask now, what game do you want to play that you haven't done yet?
Okay.
Oh,
Since we're all learning about how I'm like a Tome trash right now, there is a game um that I really want to play, and it's called Clap, KLAP,
uh,
and you get to whip boys. And I just
wrong.
really would like to play that game. I doubt it will ever be localized. Go
It
figure.
could. It had no. It
Go
actually. It
figure.
has a strong possibility. I like to believe that everything has a fighting chance. There's a fighting chance we could whip boys. If Katawa Shoujo exists, I feel like we have a
Right.
fighting chance. If you've played Katawa Shoujo, anything is possible. Paraplegics for life. What up? Okay, so I'm just, or is it quadriplegics? I can't even remember. So,
But yeah, that's one of them that I mean, there are others that I would consider much more serious. But that one, honestly, if someone asked me, just like you did, what game would I want to play that I can't, it would be Clap. Like I want to like if you go to the website, Smashy, can you find the website? I would link it, but my keyboard is really loud and I don't want to do that. Um, so if you just go there and you see some of the CGs that they have, like just look at that and tell me you don't want to play this. Like I don't believe you. It's just really nice. So, yeah, that's the one that I would play.
okay.
That I,
All right, awesome. Do you have any questions for me?
yes, surprisingly, what
Surprisingly, we
is
have
your
show notes.
Hey, we're semi-professional, right?
We're keeping this pro.
Um,
Go ahead.
um, so your first Atome game
Oh,
that you played.
man. All right, it was in 2012. I was home on Christmas break. I vividly remember this. I was home on Christmas break, and my sleep schedule was completely, like, fucked up by that point. I apologize. There's an 18 plus rating because there may be cursing in this video game chat, so I apologize in advance. But my complete sleep schedule was borked, and it was absolutely horrible, and I had nothing to do. So I was on a whim, had an iTunes gift card that I got for Christmas, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll buy a game to play on my phone. On a
Hmm.
whim, I found Shall We Date, My Sweet Prince. And I was completely thrown off because I was like, "Oh, is it an like anime? What is this?" And I'll never forget his name, but I'll always forget how to pronounce it properly. Chezim or Shizim. And he was
Okay.
this beautifully tanned looking god with this purple hair, had a very Arabian, Egyptian like look to him. And I was like, "Who's that?" I want to know what he's all about. So I bought it. It was $2.99 at the time, and I started playing through. And I was like, "Oh, I'll play until I fall asleep." I started maybe around 9, 10 o'clock. I finished at 5:30 in the morning because I wanted all the routes. And then
Right.
to kick things off, the first route alone was not a good ending. It was very sad. It was very tragic. And I remember just going, I did not just pay $2.99 for this shit ending. No, we're doing this again. We're doing this again. So I went through all the choices and all the routes for him again until I got the good ending. And then I was like, oh, I wonder what the other routes are like. Let me buy that one. So $40, and about 6, 7 hours later, I fell in love with Otome. And I just started kind of educating myself more on it just to see what else about it I liked, what I didn't like, what I figured, my type or category would be. And then I found Hakuoki and I found
Mm.
Saito. and I wasn't the
Yeah.
same. That's when I learned I was born in the wrong era. I want to be married to a shinsengumi.
I think you are, there are many,
I
many
know.
people.
It,
Um,
it's
yeah.
it's that's when I started growing. And mind you, at the time I was in a relationship, but even I would tell him, I'd be like, we need to go to Japan so we can make out while the cherry blossoms fall. Just fall on me. Can we do that? Can we make that a thing?
Right.
And he was like,
Right.
if we can afford it, sure. And I'm like, that's the only reason we need to go. If you want to stop by the Gundam Cafe, I'm not going to stop you. We can go check out the Eva store. I'm cool. But we need to make out under a cherry blossom tree while they're falling. Like, that has to happen. That's how it
What
happens in
about,
all
wait,
of
wait,
them.
wait. What about the festival walk? Do you want to do that?
If I can get a ceremonial outfit. If I cannot get a
Yeah.
ceremonial outfit, it's not worth it. It's completely in vain at that point. But I got into Hakuoki and I fell in love with it. I played a lot more of the Shally dates. I'm trying to think. Utapuri, I watched the anime and I really, really enjoyed it. I should play it eventually. I just haven't gotten around to it. Um, I'm trying to think of the other games. Angelique was one that I've tried. Diabolic Lovers or Diabolique, I don't know how you pronounce it. Um, those are other different ones that I've tried. But I like the handiness, for a work commute living in New York City. The train ride's perfect to just play an
Right.
otome and not have anything bother you. So I've been hooked ever since, and I love it. So,
So what would you say your favorite one out of all that, out of all those?
oh, my favorite one. Oh, I. It seems like such a go-to answer, but it really is Hakuoki. Like
It's
Hakuoki broke me as a human being. Like
yeah,
Hakuoki,
it will.
Hakuoki was one, the history was relatively on point. So you knew that the flavor text and the lore was somewhat relevant. And I liked that. I thought that was really interesting. But
Mhm.
The CGs is what
Yeah.
really grabbed me for that game. And I can't tell you how many pictures I have saved somewhere on an external hard drive of just that I collected. And I have it on my 3DS. I have it on my PC. I think I'm about to buy it for the iOS because I saw that it came out there through Idea
Mhm.
Factory. So I'm like, there's no harm in having three versions of it, right? It's perfectly
No,
normal.
it's healthy. You're supporting. You're
Exactly.
supporting the community, right?
Exactly. It's like the music industry. Buy a CD, keep them alive. I'm keeping the companies alive. Here, take my wallet, because that's what's going to happen. So
Right.
it would probably be Hakuoki. And I really want to play SSL, but I feel like that might break me, and then I'll just have nosebleeds all over the place. It'll be a big old mess, but I'm all for it. Just give it to me. So, yeah.
So is that the game would you say that you might say that you want to play but you haven't, or is there another one?
There is another one. I don't know. I've always been keeping tabs on it because I'm waiting for it to come to the States. But I think it actually just released a new installment or a sequel to the series this year. But Starry Sky,
Yes. Okay, so
I love
there
that.
is there is a way to get it translated to uh English. I think it's Starry Spring.
Oh.
Um
Oh, see, I want to play
and
Starry Summer though, because I want to play the boy that's the tourist astrological sign that's leader of the archery club with the sky blue hair
right.
and the green eyes, and he's sweet and he has stress induced stomach aches, so we actually have something in common, and I want to love on him. Like something fierce. I want to love on him. I want to make him mine ever. But I really should start with spring first, as I think it's spring, summer, autumn, then winter, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the order in
Yeah,
which they go.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Starry Sky series. I'm familiar with it. I haven't delved too deep so I don't get spoiled, but I gotta play Summer. Like, I really need to play Summer. I want Homare, like something fierce. I'm like, Homare-kun, be my waifu, or husbando, whichever comes first. Because he's so affectionate. And the thing is his description is that he's a natural born problem solver, and he has these two little sisters that are super, super cute, and they look just like him. And, he tries to break up any fights or confrontations, and he really works himself up by trying to do the best that he can. And he reminds me so much of myself. Maybe being fellow Torians, that's a thing. But every
Right.
time I hear about it, I'm like, I want him. I want him. I want the sky blue hair with the piece right in the face so you can still see the eye. I want all of that in my face. And I want the CGs. I want to record it. I want a
It might.
body pillow of him. Give it to me. Give me what I want. So Starry Sky is probably going to be the one that I would probably say is my big, like, number one on the list. And when that happens, oh man, I'm going to forget my boyfriend's name and it's going to be glorious. He already
Oh
knows.
no.
He knows. He's like, there's certain games. We each have our own separate list of games that he has his nosebleeds about and I have mine. He knows Othame is just basically all of them. So he always says, he's like, just remember me at the end of the night. You have to go to sleep next to someone. I'm like, I know. But Otome, he goes, I'm not a Shinsegumi. I'm like, you should try. You're not even trying at this point. But we joke about that. We humor each other with that for a long time. So, but I mean, it's played a pretty big role in our life. Like, I know what you're playing, and I think you're still playing what I'm playing. Although you can play multiple Otames at once, I have to keep it on a strict limit of I have to finish one because I have very bad completionist OCD before I start another. So what are you
Yeah, me
playing right
too.
now? Because I mean, I saw what you were streaming, and I didn't know if that was the current one at the moment.
So I'm well, personally, I'm playing Amnesia Memories to get all the routes unlocked. I have two more Gentleman Callers that I need to play through, and um I have quite a backlog. But I'm personally playing Amnesia Memories for my blog, to share the routes in case people would like that. I have all the CGs I unlock up there. I have all the Hakioki CGs from the PS3 version up there. Um, but lately I've been streaming the Men of Yoshiwara. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's how you pronounce it, and it's on Steam, and it has been localized. From what I understand, it's been changed a little bit, but it is hilarious, and I will warn you, it is 18 plus. Um, there are some things I will not read on my stream because they make me giggle like a schoolgirl, and I'm definitely not the age of a schoolgirl anymore.
Catch up
And
time. Catch up
it's
time.
it's it's a lot of fun. I like Atome games. I take them with a grain of salt, but then when I do fall, I fall hard.
Yeah.
So I have a good time with the stories. Um, and I'm having a good time with the one on Steam. It has an interesting angle. It is kind of sad at parts, but most of the time I just find myself like giggling. The CGs are gorgeous. It's not voice
Yes.
acted, um, but you get all the routes when you purchase the game, and I think I have to check. It may still be on sale
Mm-hmm.
on Steam, but it's one of those. Um, I don't know. It to me, and I'm not trying to be an elitist or anything. It's not on the level of Hakioki, in my opinion, or Amnesia Memories. It's um it's just not that same kind of quality.
It's not
But it's
commercial, but
still
it's still good for an independent otome. Like that kind
right.
of
And
thing?
yeah, and I find it funny. Hakioki had me in tears. Amnesia Memories. Half the time I was looking at the screen like, "You in danger, girl. We gotta get your ass out of here." And so, but with the Men of Yoshiwara, I'm laughing and joking. Like, so it's more of an upbeat one, I guess, especially
Mm.
coming off of Amnesia. So,
Yes. I'm playing Amnesia now myself. I actually went a separate route from most people. I'm probably going to restart it on my personal stream sometime this weekend. But I remember seeing the anime first before actually seeing the otome.
yes.
And I caught maybe 2 or 3 episodes tops. And when I had seen it, I was like, what is this? And then I found out that it was an otome. And I was like, oh, what? And so I was like, okay, I have to try this. And on a random whim, I had just picked the random route, which I think I chose the spade. I chose Icky. And I'm going through it now. That man infuriates the shit out of me.
Right.
But I love him. He's my little sundeer bitch. I love him. Um, So it's definitely an interesting game that I enjoyed. It's definitely not as emotionally captivating as as Hakuoki was for me. I agree that that was one of the games that actually really brought me to tears, and just hearing the story actually really compels you on a lot of different levels. But Amnesia is very much a mind game. It's very manipulative, and I don't
Yeah.
mean that in a negative sense, but it makes you have to think about the routes. And I think the psychology that you have to play in the game, especially with just the premise and the concept behind it being that you have no memory and you have to build these memories as you go along. So it's a fresh start for just the game and for you and the direction that you choose to take it in. It's very interesting. And I think that's kind of what pulled me towards it. And again, the CGs are absolutely amazing. The voice acting on it is awesome.
Yes.
Um, and yeah,
There
it's
there's
great.
something else that Ovada in chat, she was streaming it as of an hour or so ago.
Oh, I missed
And
it?
she has VODs. She has VODs.
Okay, okay.
But she made a point on her podcast that she does where, and I never thought about it, but it's you normally when you start a game, they're like, "Hi, pizza. This is Sushi. You guys have been friends for 5 years. You go to school together. You're rivals." Or I just said we're friends, but you get what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Um, but in Amnesia, you don't know anything, and you have to figure it out on your own. So it does put you on guard.
Hmm.
Whereas, like, in maybe another game, you feel safe right off the bat because you know this is your friend, or you're surrounded by men, but this one's been your friend for years, and this one is a policeman, and this one is a reputable store owner. No, in Amnesia, you are on your own pretty much. We'll just leave it at that. I don't want to
Hmm.
give spoilers. And you don't know anything.
It
And that takes like, and I never thought about it until she kind of like went down that path. I'm like, well, no wonder I never really felt romantic, at least at the beginning, because at the whole time I was like, oh my God, don't touch me. Who are you people?
it
Like,
definitely
what is going on?
in a lot of otames, whether they be soft or not, I mean, there's a very cookie cutter build to it, for lack of a better phrase. I feel like Amnesia breaks that cookie cutter mold because it is so hidden. There's so many dark spots that you're not very familiar or comfortable with. And you have to break out of those molds. I feel that for an otame, it's one of the more mature ones, but I feel like
Mhm.
once you get to the point of the story, which I still haven't gotten to that, I guess, pivotal point. I've made my assumptions and my guesses as I've been going along, but it's definitely very different, and the routes are completely different. Ovada was playing the heart route Shin yesterday, and that was so dramatically different from what I recall with Ikki, and I was just like, oh, and I don't regret my choice. I made it purely based on just appearance and just, oh, I'm just gonna
Right.
choose a spade. A spade's a spade. So the game can give you so many different options, and with that also comes so many different trophies if you have a Steam account, which means I'm going into completionist mode all over again soon. So I'm going to be playing all the routes just to find it out. But this game in particular, I feel really makes you have to think and really use a lot of just, logic and reasoning to what you feel
Yeah.
comfortable with, what you think is best. And it doesn't leave the heroine, in my opinion, the female protagonist, as a damsel in distress, because I feel like as you're playing the character, you're definitely building up that strength, you're building up that confidence, you're building up the trust. And you don't have so much of that in a lot of other otames because everything is thrown right in front of you. The fact that you have none of that, you have to be strong for yourself, or
Mhm.
who knows what'll happen. And I still don't even know what would happen if I just completely gave in and just trusted to somebody else. I could be completely taken advantage of, which has me so excited about this game. It could very well be one of my top favorites soon, but we'll see. We'll see in time.
And I would say that I agree it is more mature, but not due to like obscene content,
Mm-hmm.
but more mature on like an intellectual level. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like the story is to me, the story just has a more serious feel to it in a way. Um, and so I would agree that it's definitely a bit more mature, but I enjoy it. It took me, and I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but it took me a while to find my favorite guy, and I remember telling Sabella that I was like, I don't, is this gonna be the first Otome game that I don't have a favorite guy? Like, it was just
Really?
really bothering me. Yeah, because I was like, I just don't know. I just don't know. And finally you know, found one that, I really liked.
Hmm.
But it was just kind of a shock when I was like thinking to myself, does this happen? Like, like,
That has happened to me in Ultimates, and for that very reason, I won't do the replay on them because I'll feel
yeah,
little to no connection, and that is important. I feel like that's one of the biggest focal points of an Ultimate is that you gain a connection with one or possibly multiple routes, and if you don't have that connection, you're completely turned off by the game, and it's not necessarily based due to the storyline or the mechanics of it. It's just some things don't click for everybody. So,
I'm
oh.
sorry. Ovada, you are talking about Icky, and that is who Pizza really likes as well.
Yes. Okay, Ovada, that is the first route that I'm on right now, and I want you to know how horribly I fucked up that route as of right now. If I do the replay, there's a very strong possibility I'll fuck up the route some more, or when I start it all over again, I'll just go back to my original ways. But I wanted to try him based solely on appearance. It was something different for me because he's physically, and this is important, aesthetically, he's not usually the type that I go for. I don't go for the smug looking characters. I go for the strong silent types, but I definitely don't go for the ones who are vain and narcissistic in and of themselves. So I typically go for, in physical characteristics, somebody that looks like tuxedo mask, black hair, blue eyes. So I would have ideally gone with Shin, even though obviously he doesn't have blue eyes. But something compelled me just to try something different out of my comfort zone. And let me tell you, I can't tell you how many times I was yelling at my computer going, the fuck? That's it. Take off my earrings. We're gonna do this. We're gonna fucking dance. Like, what are you doing? But it's interesting to see now through the progression of dates how it's progressing, and I'm very curious
Yeah.
about him because I have my theories, and whether my theories are right or not, I don't know. But there's something just I won't spoil it. I don't know who's completely played in its entirety, so I'll definitely hold on that. But Amnesia is a very very interesting one for
I
sure.
have to, yeah, I have to agree with you and Rivy Girl in chat. His route, like, I'm not gonna give spoilers, but I would go, I would play a little bit, and I know if you follow me on Twitter, you probably saw my frustration, and we'll just leave it at that. And it was just like, okay, fine, be that way. I'm gonna cut you off, and I'm gonna, go have a glass of wine because I don't understand this. Like, it's
and
like,
and that's the
what is
thing.
happening?
And my affection rate with him at the moment isn't very high right now. And that's because I'm not too trusting with him on certain things. And I remember when I was doing the blind run through, there's a couple people telling me, no, you should have let him do that. I'm like, but I'm basing this off of my own personality and what I would let a man do to me and not do to me. I would not let a man do that to me. Oh hell no. I'm like, even if it means a
Right?
bad ending, my pride is on the line. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting to see how much you alter your own character and your own integrity for some of the routes that you choose in these games. Of course, you're not going to let it change who you are as a person in real life. And that's another topic that we're going to discuss later on in the show. But it's very interesting to see how that one's playing out. And I have to finish it this weekend so I can be able to just gush about it with you and be like, no, the fuck he didn't. But we'll see. We'll see. And I still have to go through Heart. I still have to go through Clover. This is one of the wonderful things. Personally, I have horrible memory. Absolutely horrible memory. That's why I refer to so many people by pet names than I do by their actual names because I can't remember names for shit. But I'm pretty excited about this because I don't remember how I started his route. So I know when I restart it sometime tomorrow or Sunday, I'm gonna completely forget what the fuck I chose. So here's
Right.
hoping, here's hoping I do all right. We'll see how it goes. And I've seen other playable routes, and I'm like, I don't remember who chose what, and that's great. That's what keeps the game excited and going for me. Unless I actually write it down and just work on my own guide. So I'm pretty excited. Ovada, you can have a pet name. You're Ovada Senpai. Ovada Senpai.
Yes. Senpai.
Baka bakas. Baka bakas. I'm gonna call that Dum Dums from here on out. Now, I do want to focus on something, and this is probably a very important thing that I want to discuss. I think now is as good as time as ever about it. I actually have to find the link, and
Yeah, I forgot to send it to myself when I
no,
was getting set up.
I,
I
I,
I have it downstairs.
okay. I have to find that link. So while we're finding
Wait,
this
hey,
link,
Smashy, can you find that link? You know what the article we're gonna talk about? And can you link it in chat?
the Anime
Um,
News Network article. And
yes.
I'll be sure to include this in the show notes at the end. For everybody who's aware, after the live stream is up, we're going to be exporting this over to YouTube. So if you actually want to
Yep.
send this as a link to friends, family, whatever, you're more than welcome to send this link, and we'll be sure to post that also on the Twitter. But there was an interesting news article that was brought to my attention by Sushi 2 nights ago, maybe, and it was talking about uh, it was a very strongly opinion based article about what was it, the reasons why.
Why dangerous anime boys are all the rage. Thank you,
That's what it
Smashy,
was.
for finding that.
There you go. And I mean, I wholeheartedly, before, after, even now during the podcast, take a second to read that article. It was very interesting, the perspectives and what they said. And it basically cited three specific otames, which, of course, do have a bit of a darker side. I think it was Dance with Devil, I think it was, Diabolic Lovers, and Amnesia Memories, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what it was.
Yes.
And so it was saying how. Let me preface this entire conversation. I feel like this is necessary to say because both. I think it's. I can confidently say both me and Sushi are like-minded in how we feel about the opinion of the article. The person who wrote the article, whom I don't know, it could have been a man, it could have been a woman, it could be a pen name, whatever. I think their opinion is absolute bullshit, and I feel like it's such a pigeonholed response, and the reasons that they present with just three ultimates was absolutely horrible. It was
Yeah.
complete shit. So I'll just leave that at that, and I want to focus more on why I think ultimates are better than what this person perceived it to be. But basically, in the long short end, my interpretation of the article was how the people who play ultimate games, they enjoy wanting to get donkey punched, for lack of a better phrase, and then given a lace dress.
Yeah.
Because apparently, the stereotype of an ultimate fan is someone who likes to be abused by men, both physically and verbally, as well as we only like dresses and mansions.
Mhm.
We believe that we can change a person, and that
Right.
we would, and truly, the way that they were making it out to sound was that they think that this is something that ultimate fans would apply to in real life. And I had so many counterpoints that I actually wrote notes on it. But I'm curious as to your thoughts, Sushi. Where is it? What are the strong focal points that you want to make as a counter, a counter response, a rebuttal to them on?
I would encourage them to actually maybe play some Otome games and not just Google shit.
Mm-hmm.
And also realize that the age group of Otome games varies.
Mm-hmm.
We're not all 18-year-old girls
Mm-hmm.
or 16-year-old girls. I mean, 18-year-old girls nowadays are especially very educated. Um, you don't know their opinion on historical dramas or mansions or dresses. Personally, I have to want to wear a dress. I fucking don't usually do that.
Mm-hmm.
It just pissed me off because they took something that I love for various reasons that makes me happy. at the end of the day, and butchered it and made it seem cheap and terrible, and that the only reason I play it is because I want to get abused and I have emotional issues.
Hmm.
And there was no research done in it. It was just like, let's just take some popular things that are going on right now and put an article to get clickbait in a way.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of like the whole like hatful boyfriend kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
Um, Atome in the West, we do not have a face yet, which is part of the reason why we're doing this podcast, is because we want to build the community here. And we want to show support for the games that we love. And when the general public, or the general public of gamers, sees Hatoful Boyfriend and sees an article that has no basis in anything written about Atome games, um, it makes our the chance of our population growing very small. It may even shame some people to admit that they like these games, which means in the end, we have less options to play them. So, what happens then? You get possible hacking. You have to hope that, dear God, like Sony keeps something like the Vita going for a little bit longer because it's not region locked. Little helpful info for you guys there. So you can import those games. But if you're like me, I don't know Japanese. So my goal is to get the games localized. I will give them all the money in the world. But if we don't build the community and give up our hard-earned money and show our support that way, we won't get the games. And so when you have articles like this, um, that people see and there's no groundwork behind it, there's no foundation, it's just a bunch of crap, it just pisses me off. If that makes sense. I know I'm kind of rambling, but I just get really agitated when I think about it.
No, that's perfectly fine. It really it sets it makes people it makes the article itself made it sound, and you have to remember the audience that it was presented for, which was Anime News Network. They are very dedicated people regardless of whatever genre of anime it is. It made them sound, to somebody who might be completely foreign to all this, it made Ultimate fans sound like they were easily impressionable and completely naivety. There's such a strong sense of naivety that's kind of written between the lines in the article. That's fucked up. I'm 30 years old. I promise you, I am not naive. I have gone through a hell of a lot of shit in my life. That doesn't mean that I'm easily impressionable to the games that I play. It's purely for leisure and entertainment purposes. So
Exactly.
I got upset about that. Where I feel like I wanted to just kind of, well, I did want to deck somebody after I had it. So I spoke to my boyfriend about it afterward, and we had a really meaningful discussion. I was trying to explain to him just a couple of things about how I really would love to know the writer in and of itself. Of course, you'll never find out. It could have been male, female, someone who lives in his mom's basement, or, somebody who's going through terrible heartache right now. You don't know what perspective it was written
Right.
in. But the fact of the matter remains is that I feel, one, the person reading it wasn't familiar with Japanese and Korean culture as a whole. They kept showing, popular CGs where the women's wrists were being held. What they don't, I mean, in North America, yes, that would be perceived as somewhat abusive, unconsensual, forced, aggressive. If you actually watch, or you're familiar with the culture of Japanese or Korean culture, grabbing of the hands is more about taking initiative. It's not even meant to show that much dominance and that much force. So to people who are familiar with that, or people that are at least open-minded and objective about that, it's not being taken as a sign of, oh, well, I want him to be abusive to me. To some people, they may like a little bit of that more aggressive edge, or the more of the dominatrix sound, but it's not intended in that sense. It's meant to be romantic. It's meant to be passionate. It's not meant to be, I want to punch you in the back of your head. That's not the case at all. And I feel like that's something that's completely fallen to the wayside. The other thing, and I feel like this is such a critical point, that the article was never even brought up as a possible alternative to the story, is that the relationships that you see in Japanese and Korean culture, Vietnamese, Thai, Chinese, what have you, They are extremely conservative. And so when you want to play a game, they're going to give you something that you're not familiar, something that you're not comfortable or used to seeing.
Right.
And that kind of public display of affection, or rather, that display of affection, is something that some of them may actually fantasize about. Does that mean that as a whole, all of the people in the ultimate community want to be grabbed and forced like that? No. Nor are we gonna, go out for it and search for it. Like, oh, I want somebody who's gonna donkey punch me with a really good ring in the back of my head. Like, that's not the case at all. And if somebody does,
Really?
I mean, listen, I've seen Shake That Bear. I'm not interested in that. But I feel like the games itself are really the games really attract North American and Western communities, but they're really intended and really catering to the original company or the original
Right.
developing country that it's based out of. And for them, who are completely, we don't even hold hands, we don't kiss, we don't hug in public, that's something to them that's almost a fantasy for them. And so you have to know, the lines aren't really blurred there. And the way that this article made it out to sound is that, in the world of black and white, we only see one or the other. Like, we don't understand the gray area, but we do. We're not an uneducated culture. We're not that closed or narrow-minded either. And I feel like that
Mm-hmm.
point got completely fallen to the wayside. And we had a discussion on Sunday about one of the points where it says, the reasons girls love otome anime bad boys is because I want to change him. No, we don't. No. And if you are watching this and you think that you can change a man, you can't. And you probably shouldn't even be with him if that's the case. Because
Exactly.
if you're, even regardless as a 30-year-old woman or even as a 22-year-old woman, if I'm not happy with the person that I'm with, I'm just not going to be with them. I don't want to change them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be the one. That is complete and utter bullshit. It's
Well,
complete fiction.
it's like everything else in life. If you get your moral compass from a dirty cartoon, then you might have some problems. I don't get my love advice and my experiences in love from a video game.
No.
It's a video game.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that maybe if they had just done like um a possible, like, just highlighted why, maybe interviewed someone about why they like to play the games, because
Hmm.
they don't talk about the artwork, they don't talk about voice acting, which is amazing, like sex for your ears.
Yep.
I mean, it's there are just so many different things, and the simple fact, I mean, look at Amnesia. um there, it's the original Japanese audio,
Hmm.
and that is amazing. I am so thankful that we have that, because it's just, it's gorgeous. But all these points were left out, and the fact that it's just, you're experiencing different personalities. You lose yourself in this new environment. And there's just so many different things that I don't think they gave a chance to the community to speak about and say, well, it might be that way, but those are just 3 games.
Yep.
Those are 3 games, and if you're in Japan, there's a fucking ton of these games.
Hmm.
And so it's like, get over it. There's 3 games, the majority of them, especially if you look at North America, where we have more mobile games than anything.
Hmm.
I get to be a ninja assassin's girlfriend. I get to be a ninja princess. I get to be,
I am a
all,
ninja princess, though.
right? I am too. Like, great.
I own a maid cafe, for fuck's sakes.
It's just, it's like, I just wish that they had made a more well-rounded article instead of taking 3 popular things right now
Hmm.
and just running with it and clickbait. And
It
and
really
now
was.
that's what the community of video games has been exposed to for Otome, on top of Hatoful boyfriend.
And if you actually read the article, and I had to read it through, they were trying to make this reasoning in comparison to another otome that's based in a musical form.
Yes.
If I'm not
It's
mistaken, and I'm like, really, this is what you want to do to promote another otome? Is to talk down about other popular otomes that are definitely different, but they're not as horrible as you're making it out to be. Like, that's just the most horrible sense of writing, in
It,
my idea, when you
this
break it
this
down.
line right here. There are many people out there, myself included, who will stomach just about anything if it's set to a jaunty tune. No, no. That's incorrect. You are broadly speaking for a genre of gamers that you can't speak for, and it's actually an anime right now.
Mm.
Um, it's I haven't seen it. It's on my queue list. But everyone I know that plays Otome games really likes it. They aren't complaining. They aren't saying, "Well, thank God it's it's a musical and you know and that's the only way I get through it." Let's face it. Do you play Otome games for the music? The music is a part of it, but well, I don't know why everyone else does, but I play them for the voice acting and the visuals and the
Yes.
story.
I
I don't
absolutely love
play it
that.
because it's a musical. Like what?
You know what? And this was the exact same description that we were also having a discussion. Otome is, in many respects, if you look through the evolution of media, I mean, the way um, cassette tapes are to CDs, basically Otames are what your standard run-of-the-mill old book is, and it's presented to you in a visual aesthetic format. So it's just it's evolved from what we used to do when we just had books or we just had comics. It's a different format for us, and it's the Where is Carmen San Diego of Japanese anime and love. It's a
Right.
choose your adventure book for all intents
Yep.
and purposes. And that's what I've always loved about it, is because you're never going to get the same ending twice. I mean, it's very possible you could, depending on how many routes are available, if you actually break down and do the math. But the game in and of itself is still a standard. It was based off of a standard practice and concept, and then it was just enhanced, it was changed, it was formatted, it was revised. And yet now you see so many different art styles from it. You know about so many different other voice actors from it. And those are the things that are completely falling to the wayside in this article, because they think all we care about is just, you know, unrealistic romances, and all we care about are the dresses and the mansions, which I feel like they even were really just pigeonholing, because
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to talk about the dresses and the outfits and stuff, that's more common in mobile ultimates. You don't see that so much in the PC or console versions, with
Yeah.
your chosen exceptions. Is it to say that ultimates do leave some type of impression about relationships with girls? That's very possible. Or with men too, and with anybody. Is it going to leave some type of lasting impression on them that they may apply in real life? The probability is there. Do I think it's very high? No. But do I think it's there? Yes. But I think you can get the same thing off of SWOTOR. You can get the same thing off of an anime. You can
Hmm.
get the same thing out of a
Yep.
manga. You're just basically blaming this just to promote something else. And I felt like that was the biggest upset about the entire article. And it made me infuriated. Infuriated. But
Yeah.
I wanted to express that I love playing Othames, because to me it's kind of my escape from reality. I even knowing that none of these are realistic. A lot of these are Danielle Steele-esque endings, you know? But it's
Mhm.
funny and it's humorous, and it takes my mind off of the real life stresses. And I
Right.
appreciate the voice acting, because the voice acting can really actually it can forge a relationship between you and an NPC. I also
Right.
love the CGs and the graphics, because it gives you all these husbandos to choose from and merchandise to later, purchase. I absolutely love and adore that. And it just gives you a hearty appreciation that you never know what the ending is, but you're always going to shoot for the happy ending. And
Right.
I asked Samodian last night. I was like, "Why do you think I play Othames?" He goes, "Because you're always the type of person that wants a happy ending." And I don't mean in the, thank you for the massage, here's a happy ending, not that kind of happy ending. I mean like the
Right.
literal sense of I
There
want
are games out there for that though, if that's
there.
what you are
I know
interested
those games do exist, I promise you that. I've seen them firsthand. But he said, it seems very much that just for your personality and for your character, you always want a happy ending in life, whatever the situation would be. You always try to find the best resolve or the best resolution. And it's true. I always, I strive for that. And I think that's where my completionism comes with regards to Otome is and not only do I want the happy ending, I want the normal ending and I want the bad ending. I want to see which ones are out there to see which ones I'm emotionally attached to, which ones I've actually kind of been tethered into. And I like that Otome's offer and provide that because in other genres of games, it's the same ending for everybody. It's different in how you get there. This, it's wherever you choose to go, whatever ending is what comes to you. And that's what I love about Otome. And I felt like that article completely put that to the wayside. It just completely put that on the back burner. And it was upsetting. It was very upsetting. And it was offensive and it was insulting. And if I ever meet the person who wrote that article, I'll be sure to punch him in the shin. And that's going to grow down. But it was. It was
Well,
really disheartening.
Ovana asked a great question. And Rivi Girl, I will have an update towards the end of new releases and routes, and I'll mention those two games. So we will come back to that. But Ovada says, which is priority, voice acting, visuals, or story? For my input, I'm sitting here thinking about that. So voice acting is not a guaranteed part of Otome games. A
Sometimes you
lot of
don't
the
have
mobile
voice
games.
acting.
Yeah. So then that narrows it down because I'm still playing those games, right? Like they don't have voice acting, but I'm still playing them and still involved. So visuals and story, that's kind of hard. I think bottom line, if you get that story down, I think you can. I mean, look at Hatoful Boyfriend. There are some people I know on Twitter that, dear God, like don't talk to them about pigeons because like emotional issues. But like so I think if you get that story and you build that intensity and that relationship, for me I think I can deal with no voice acting and I can deal with, you know, um not hakioki visuals, if that story really gets to me, if that makes sense. What about you, Pizza?
I think even in the parallel to just what you find as an attractive, what you find attractive about another person, physical does play a role to an extent. You have to find something that's visually pleasing to you, and I think that's reflexive
Hmm.
almost at this point. I think that's just human nature. The story truly has to play a critical role, and I've played games that have had beautiful visuals but a shit story, and I can't
Yeah.
continue the game without the story. The story, in the way that a book does it for you, when you read and their use of adjectives and their use of diction and syntax and just the people's voices that you form in your mind when reading a book, ultimates have that same effect. And so when you're playing the game, you're starting to visualize a world in your mind, regardless of what's in front of you. And that's the reason why, to some degree, visuals play a little bit of a lesser role for me than the way stories do. I start to form in my mind my own visual world as I'm seeing it flesh out in front of me in the game.
Mm.
So, to go along with that, that story really needs to be captivating and it needs to grip me. And even if it brings me to the point of tears, the fact that it got me to that point, what does that say about the game? And even if you
Yeah.
have a normal ending, and you never know, this is the other thing that I enjoy about Ultimate, you never know what ending you're going to get, regardless of how good it is, or how good the route's looking, or how bad the route's looking. Because you could think that you did absolutely wonderful, and then you finally get to the end, you're like, that was a normal ending. You're like, what? I have to play this again because what the fuck is the good ending? Like
Right.
that's the beauty of Ultimates for me is that it's so inevitable, it's so sporadic, and you try your best. I mean, it involves a level of logic. There's some Ultimates out there that are so, as I said before, cookie cutter. They're so standard, run of the mill that you know exactly what you need to do. You know exactly the way you need to form and flesh out your female protagonist or your male protagonist. But then there's those really good otome games that you start thinking as, okay, well, this is what I would do, but what should the female protagonist be doing based on the character archetype that's being presented to me? He seems
Hmm.
like a really conceited person. Do I need to just give in to him and humor him? Or do I actually stick
Right.
to my guns and who I am as a person and just be like, oh, fuck no, boy. I ain't taking this jade bracelet. No, take it. It ain't from Tiffany's. I don't want it. So
You owe me a jade bracelet.
I do
No,
owe
I'm
you a
just
jet.
saying.
I got you on this. Girl, I got you. But for me, that's where the story kind of takes a little more precedence in the visuals. The visuals definitely help, and I think they really do set the
Mhm.
tone. But for me, overall, it probably would have to be the story. Definitely.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, Senpai noticed us.
Oh,
Thank you, Senpai.
senpai. Um, so I mean, those are. I thought it was a really interesting article to start off this entire series with because
Mhm.
what better store opinion based article than something completely bashing Otham is to really just kind of make us realize, okay, well, this is why we love Otham is, and maybe this is in turn, we're not going to tell you buy these games and this is what's going to get you in Otham. It's just like the game itself. We let you choose your adventure. We're just giving you the perspectives and the views and how we see them and how we project them. And I mean, I haven't been playing for years, but I've appreciated for what they are for a long, long time. So if you're new to them and you want to check out more, we'll definitely continue to talk about them. We'll give you guys more insight on it. So, and of course, I mean, we even have news and announcements on what's going on in Othamiz this week. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple stories that we had pop up. So, Sushi, take it away.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let me get my notes here. So for the PC, someone on my list recommended this one. It's been greenlit on Steam. It's called
Oh.
Spirit Parade.
Okay.
Um, Let me see if I can put. Oh, nope. Okay. I can't link it.
Oh,
But
I have to change that. Hold on, I can change that. Settings, because I think I disabled links. I could fix that. Um.
no, I think oh, I copied and pasted the wrong thing with like a bazillion stuff.
Here you go.
You're right.
We can no longer delete links in chat. I've saved the changes.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that should be better
Okay.
now.
Let me try this again. So oh, well, I opened it. So that'll work too. Oh, thanks, Smashy. Yeah. So that's oh, well, that was a link to the developer's blog. But yes, you're right, Ruby Girl. It has a recent demo with voice acting. It came highly recommended. Someone on my Twitter feed was really trying to get people to try it out and play it, so I wanted to share it. Quickly, it's a commercial otome game with Asian mythological themes currently in development by Lettuce Waltz. The artists are Renz and Arcane, and writer and programmer is Lore. It will retail for $20 when it's released, but pre-orders are open at a discounted price of 10. The game will have 5 routes with capturable characters and more than 30 different endings. Um, the demo covers the entirety of the common route and should take about an hour to play, depending upon your read speed and choices. So yeah, that one seems to be great. I wanted to try and download it before the podcast and play it, but work and life, so it did not happen. Um, Sorry, guys. I'll try and do better next time. Um, Mobile games and routes that came out this week. My Elemental Prince. It is available on iOS and Android.
I checked that out.
The
It's pretty good.
yeah, the the summary is you've lived and changing okay, I'll skip that. Maybe I copied and pasted that wrong. Anyway, one day you were suddenly swept up by a massive wave that hit your classroom after school. By the time you came to, your surroundings had completely changed and elemental spirits appeared before you. Your new goal after wandering into the spirit world is to borrow the strength of the spirit world to return to the human world. What will be your fate? Bum bum bum.
Dun dun
So
dun.
it has 4 characters and is rated 9 and up. The other
Nine and up.
one that I noticed that came out on mobile is Sakura A Mist Chaos. It's a voltage game. I don't play a lot of Voltage games, but I
Neither
know
do
they
I.
have a huge following. It is available on iOS and Android, and it says romance blossoms as you spend your days among the samurai, guys. So if you haven't gotten enough Hakioki, here's another one. 5 characters, ages 12 and plus. Lastly, a new route that was introduced this week in Shall We Date Ninja Assassin, which is a deep, dirty secret that I play that game. Willem is now available, and if you have played it, then you are familiar with him. If not, but he is a foreigner in the country. And it says, although he is a villain, he's greatly popular with his I
Char-
can't talk.
charismatic.
Thank you, charms. I'm
It's cool.
trying to sell this. I'm trying to do
You
good.
sold me. I'm going back and buying Elemental Prince after the podcast is done.
So, and I need to check. I can't remember if Amnesia Memories is still on sale for iOS. I did not get time to check that out. But I know this week it was on sale. Um, so that's all I have, that I could find as far as new releases and new routes this week on November 20th, 2015.
Yep. In addition, as well, this actually came up in Ovada's podcast yesterday. There is a sale going on right now for both Hakuoki and Amnesia Memories on iOS, and I believe on the Android store too. You can purchase the game. I think at full retail value, they're about $22.99. But there is a discounted sale where you can just pick them up and choose in-app purchase for just specific routes. This is by Gachusa, I think was the name on it, but it's basically Idea Factory. So you've heard us talk at length at both Hakuoki as well as Amnesia. If you want to play it on your tablet or on your phone, definitely be sure to pick those up, and they're right there and available for you. I think even more so than what you would see for PC or handheld console. I think this is actually a really good demo version for you to try out, and I feel like this is a good segue into trying out these games if you haven't already done so. So be sure to look for those
The
too.
Sorry to
Oh no,
interrupt
you're
you.
good.
But Rivy Girl, you're right. The other two games, I don't know if they'll show up good. Is Norn 9 came out like last week. I can't see on stream
Oh.
because there's a delay. So, but it it is available on the Vita and PS TV.
Mhm.
And then Code Realize, I have heard nothing but like amazing things about this game.
Mhm.
Um, it came out a few weeks ago. And it is also on the Vita and it is compatible with PlayStation TV. So, the Code Realize, some things were changed in localization, such as names and everything. I have a couple friends on Twitter who were like terribly um, upset with the name change, and I don't blame them, but that's
Mhm.
another show. Um, and then in Norn 9, there was a little bit of controversy, but apparently the translation is all right. There are some things that are different, but like I said, that's a whole nother show that we will deal with at one time with the translations. But those are really good games that please support them.
Mhm.
Please do not get them illegally. I don't think you can. I think there was more problems with Amnesia since it was on Steam, but just support Atari games. Be responsible, late
Mhm.
people. We need to be responsible. Don't do like sushi and spend $60 to unlock really hot CGs.
I'm
That's
sorry. What
bad.
is that? That's not air. No, that's not bad. Says who?
It's
Says
not
who?
responsible.
It's
But
responsible.
but please just support the games as you can. Um, if you know of any games that are coming out or any routes or anything like that that you want us to talk about, you can tag me on Twitter. Or we may have an email address, I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But you can tag one of us or both of us, and we'll try and keep this up to date as we do the podcast. So,
Oh, here. Actually, I think I can do this right now. Whoa! If it's connected, it is. Huzzah! If you guys have any questions or things that you'd like us to do as a segment on the show, that email, you can reach us directly and it will reach both of us. In addition, also, you can check out myself on Twitter at this address, if it'll let me do it, or No, it didn't let me do it. Okay, well, great. That's me on Twitter, and this is Sushi on Twitter. Um, or you can also just look down here. Those are our Twitter handles. That's why I put them there. I just But yeah, if you guys want, we definitely want to engage with everybody. And the biggest and most important thing about this podcast is we want to grow the community. We don't want it to be limited to just a certain few. We want everybody from different walks of life and different places and different areas of the world to get to know more about Othamis, to fall in love with them the way that we have. We want to encourage that, and we want to let you do it however you see fit. So if you guys definitely did enjoy our podcast, our episode today, by all means, you can watch it again on YouTube in just a few. I have to wait to actually stop the show and then export it all. But I think that's about it for this week. We definitely have tons of more things coming up and tons of more things to talk about because there are a lot of waging issues within Othamis right now in the community that I think do need to be addressed. So we definitely want to encourage you guys to do that. Any parting words, Sushi?
Just follow us on Twitter if you can. We'll try and get a schedule planned out with the Thanksgiving holiday coming up next week. There probably definitely won't be anything going on. We're not quite sure if we're going to do how often we're going to do this. So if you can follow us here on Twitter, on our personal accounts, everything will be awesome. And we'll try and get that, solid and out to everyone. But just thank you all so much for coming. It's great to see the chat moving.
It is. I didn't expect this many people for the first night. I mean, any and all feedback
I
is
didn't either.
super awesome. Like, you guys have been so engaging, and we thank you guys so much for it. I guess, before we actually say goodbye, does anybody have any questions? I didn't think of that. If you guys do have any questions, by all means, please let us know. We'll be around for a little bit following the podcast. But we really had an absolute blast with you guys for a first podcast. Of course, we had our technical difficulties, which involved me going under the desk for reasons that weren't even remotely lewd. It was because my charger fell out. Aside from that, it was an awesome podcast. So thank you guys so much for tuning in.